Hello there, fellow Scorpios. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot video forecast. This forecast is for the month of July. I have already shuffled the cards and I've got them on the table, so let's just jump right in, shall we? The first thing that I'm looking at talks to me about our environment, and our environment is any place where we have energy or effort invested. So usually it does show up as home, but we want to be a little bit open-minded about where that could possibly be. And what I'm seeing about the environment is it is one that makes us feel like, we have everything that we need in that environment. Like it's a supportive environment, and it's one that makes us feel comfortable. Okay? Comfortable and satisfied. The next thing that comes up talks to me about our subconscious leanings. And our subconscious leanings, I think we are considering some things about healing. For most of us, I think this is actually going to be physical healing, much more so than emotional healing. And so we may be looking at what is the cost of healing. So there may be something in front of us that maybe there's something in front of us that we need to consider that might have physical therapy afterwards, or something that is going to have a high medical cost if we go through with it, or something like that. So I think that in our subconscious we've definitely got healing on our mind. We've also got the idea of what is it going to take to get the healing that we're after. Next thing that I have showing up talks to me about our learning style and also our communication style. So fellow Scorpios, I do think that we already do have a very strong base of information that we're using a lot during this time frame. I do think that we are learning some new information, and I think that new information may have to do with this is kind of sensitive, like I'm working on, how do I want to say this? May have to do with things having to do with human reproduction, basically. And so I think we may be looking at that, or maybe it would be more accurate to say the human reproductive system, possibly for some of us, that we're sort of focused on learning more about during this time frame. And that may have a tie-in back to the healing that is showing up in our subconscious leanings as well. It doesn't have to, but I think for some of us it will actually do that. As far as our communication style, I do think that we're being very sparing with our communication. I don't think that we're sharing all the information that we have right now with everybody. Of course, that is kind of our normal Scorpio style. I think a lot of us have the attitude, well, if somebody doesn't ask about it, they're probably not interested, so why would we tell them? And sometimes even if people do ask us, we kind of question, why do they need to know that? So why would we tell them? So I just see, that there are some things that we're just not really comfortable letting the whole world know. So we do have a little bit of information that we're kind of sitting on during this time frame. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about work. Looks like we are really investing in our work during this time frame, whether what we're doing is our calling, as in my case, or whether what we're doing is working for somebody else, or maybe even we have a business that, we have our own business, whatever. I feel like we're really putting a lot of energy and effort towards making that flourish, towards doing well at that. So a lot of energy and effort going into work. For some of us, we may even have a lot of financial investment into the work that we're doing, or into a business, something like that. Okay. Workity work. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about that part of our personality, which is growing or expanding right now. I do think that we are taking the time to think some things over that we don't normally have time to think over, which means we're probably not doing everything that we normally would want to be doing during this part of the month. And in thinking these things over, we're coming up with a new perspective on whatever those things are that we are rethinking. Okay. And when does Mercury retrograde end? Oh, that would already be over by now. Okay. Next thing that we want to look at talks to me about those things that we stand for. So this is going to be something that somebody has asked us to explain, or maybe they've confronted us on this. It looks to me like we've had somebody that has shown back up from our past that we haven't exactly been thrilled to see, or we haven't necessarily like invited back into our lives in full force the way they used to be. And so once somebody confronts us about this or asks us to explain, why we took the actions that we did, that person then sees us as somebody who walks our walk, walks our talk, that that when we advise other people, apparently we advise them in a similar situation to do what we did. So basically, they're seeing us as taking our own advice and really showing some integrity as we handle this situation. Okay. Now, next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about the lesson or experience of this particular time frame. And what we have coming up is a whole new leap of faith. And Scorpios, we've been changing a lot in the last 6 months anyway. Most of the Scorpios I know have been. But this talks about a whole new change. This is another change, and it's not a tower-inspired change. This is a change that we take on as a leap of faith based on an intuitive nudge that just lets us know that we know that we know that this is the right thing to do. So we are taking on some kind of new change during this time frame. Now for a general reading, I'm not able to say, where this change is taking place in our lives. That would be something that would come up more as for a specific reading. Then we could look at specifically what that change would be. But for a general reading, all I can tell you is that we are definitely beginning something completely new during this time frame. La da da da. What else is going on? As we're beginning something new, we may be taking on a lot of responsibility, because I do see that as we're beginning something new, there are some things that are falling through the cracks. So where we're trying to prioritize and make sure we get first things first, some of those things that fall lower on that priority list may not actually be happening. They may be falling through the cracks as we go through this particular time frame. The other thing that I have coming up is that I feel like whatever this new leap of faith is, there's some people around us that don't really appreciate it. They don't see the good in it. They don't see, they just don't see the vision like we see the vision. And so I don't think that because of this, I'm not sure that we should expect a whole lot of pats on the back from people that we might normally hear pats on the back from or get pats on the back from on this new thing that we're starting. And then once we get to the middle of the month, right around 16th, 17th, I do see that not only was physical healing on our mind in the beginning of the month, now that we get more towards the middle of the month, we are starting to do some emotional healing too. And so we're starting to feel better going forward. And I think that has a lot to do with this new thing that we're doing, that actually doing that is bringing in some satisfaction and some healing at an emotional level for us, fellow Scorpios. Okay, so that's what we have for the first part of July. I'll come back in a few seconds and we'll look at the second part of July. Thank you for being here. See you soon. All right, fellow Scorpios, we are back again to look at July the 18th through the 31st. Once again, I've already got the cards on the table just to save us some time. So the first thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about our environment. And our environment is any place where we have energy or effort invested, usually home, but not always. And what I'm seeing is that the environment that I'm looking at for this time frame is one that we are returning to, or that we are coming back to. Or if we're not returning or coming back to this environment, we are taking something in the environment and putting it back the way that it used to be. One of those two things is going on. All right, next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about subconscious leanings during this time frame, and it does look like there's somebody that we are thinking about a lot in our subconscious, and this person is somebody who can be really hard to pin down. It's hard to make a schedule with them, hard to make plans with them, just because they don't like to make plans. They like to be spur of the moment and just go when they go and stay when they stay, that type of thing. This can also be somebody who, their loyalties are not real strong with really anybody. And so this is somebody that we have in our subconscious mind during this time frame from July 18th through the 31st. And then next thing I'm looking at talks to me about learning style during this time frame. And I do think that we are pulling in a whole lot, a lot of information during this time frame, and a lot of it is because of our own curiosity. This information that we're picking up is stuff that we are happy to know, and I think just knowing it and figuring out how to apply it where the rubber meets the road in our lives is something that makes us really feel happy about, actually. Now, as far as communication style, I think that there's a lot of times during this time frame when communication style has a lot to do with our body language. If people are paying attention to us and they're noticing our body language, then they're probably hearing a lot more, in quotations, hearing a lot more from us than what they're actually hearing with their ears. Okay, so body language is going to be a big way for us to communicate during this particular time frame. And I've got the oddest thing also coming off of this card. Also sense. There is sense or aromas that we will be using to communicate during this time frame. Don't ask me. I don't know. That's something we would have to dig in much more specifically to find out more about. That would be a private reading type of thing. But it does show up, and it shows up strongly enough that I actually had to say it, which means it's going to be happening for quite a number of us. The only thing that's coming right to the top of my mind is that, one of the psychic senses is smell, so you can smell things psychically. Maybe we're going to be smelling things psychically, and we'll be communicating with the spirit world partially through that. That would be kind of fun, maybe. Depending on what they're sending smells of. All right, let's move on. Next thing that we're looking at is work. I do want to summarize. So for communication, we have body language showing up as the primary mode of communication during this time frame. And quite a few of us may also be receiving smells from the spirit world as their way of reaching out to and communicating with us. All right. Looking at work, we are making decisions when it comes to work. I do think that we have a crossroads that comes up during this time frame, and we have to make a decision about which way we're going to go here. And I do feel like this decision is something that is going to have an impact on our work life for quite a while to come. So it's this decision. I don't think we're going to have any trouble making it. I do feel like it's kind of a biggie that we're making, though. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about that part of our personality which is growing or expanding right now. I do feel like we are digging more deeply into what I call secrets of the universe. And secrets of the universe are those things that influence the universe and influence our worlds, our lives, that we're not taught about in 4th grade. So metaphysics, law of attraction, paranormal phenomena, psychic stuff, telepathy, mediumship, all of those laws that govern over abundance, all of those things that, we're just not taught in the public school system and probably not even in the private school system for the most part, are things that I consider secrets of the universe. And so I think that all of us are going to be digging deeper into secrets of the universe than what we have up to this point. We're going to be expanding our knowledge base there. That's kind of exciting. I like it. All right, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about those things that we stand for. We do have something that came up that came up from the past, and we have an opportunity to move forward with it now, to sort of pick it back up or take it off of the back burner. And I think that even though somebody else has offered us this opportunity to move forward with it, I think that we have said, you know what, I'll pass, but thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. That type of message is what comes up here. Now, there's somebody who has asked us to explain this or confronted us about this. And after we've explained this situation to them or stood up for this situation, whatever our case happens to be here, this person feels like they really don't trust us. They feel like we're doing something sneaky. I'm hearing that for some of us, this person feels like we're playing hard to get. Um, if those happen to be cross watchers that are watching, here's what you should know. Or not. Scorpios don't play hard to get. We are hard to get. Get over yourself. All right. Next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about the lesson or experience of this particular time frame. Once again, I have this card showing up even stronger than last time. Last time for this month, we had the beginning of something new that was a leap of faith. Here we have a major transformation. This is taking something that is already in existence and just picking it straight down to the bare bones and then recreating it into exactly how we want it to be. Okay, so we are going through some type of major transformation as we come through this time frame. And this is not anything to be afraid of. We're Scorpios. This is what we do all the time. We could do this in our sleep. Some of the other signs are afraid of it. We're not. We usually see the benefit of it. We usually start into these changes knowing what we want to get out of them on the other side and staying really true to that goal. So, just because we're seeing it in a reading ahead of time, doesn't mean it's anything to be afraid of this time. It never has been before, right? Okay, and then as we are making this transformation, we have a card coming up that says we've got really good self-esteem as we're going through this. So this is just kind of confirmation that this is a transformation that we are making very intentionally with a specific goal in mind. Okay? And then the other thing that we have going on is that while we're making this transformation, we do have something else in our life that is suddenly and unexpectedly being removed from our experience. And I feel like this is being removed from our experience because we're making this transformation. And it's interesting how it comes up. I think that we saw it coming. We knew that it would, but I think there are people in our sphere of influence that are just not happy about the changes that we're making. I think we are realizing that this thing sort of had to come down. It had to be removed from our lives for us to be successful moving forward with this transformation. So I think we saw it coming. I don't think that makes it easier because, those of us who are Scorpios, we have deep emotion. And I think that there is some emotion about this. So even though we're actually the ones who generate the change that brings this in, I still don't feel like it's a very easy, it's not necessarily a very easy transition to go through, even though we know that it is for our own good. All right. And then last but not least, once we get to the end of the month, fellow Scorpios, I almost said Skeloforpios. It's fellow Scorpios. What I see coming up is that we're going to be breaking free from some of the perspectives that were holding us back or blocking us. So this tells me that as we're making this transformation, there is something that comes up as a blockage, but the only reason it's a blockage is because there's something going on in our perception of the situation, in our minds, that is holding us back from moving forward. And by the time we get to the end of the month, we've already gotten through that blockage. We've sort of figured out where we were holding ourselves back or self-sabotaging, and we've broken free from that. So really good, powerful, definitely some stuff that is happening, but it is good, powerful stuff, and it's going towards meeting some goals that I think we've been considering these for a long time, and now we're just getting to the point where the rubber's starting to meet the road and things are starting to manifest the way that we need them to, and we're taking action and moving forward with them. So really good month for us, fellow Scorpios. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much for sharing, subscribing, liking. Those of you who want more specific details, feel free to contact me about getting a private reading where it's just one-on-one. We're just looking at your energies only. And I'll be looking forward to hearing from some of you for that. And for everybody else, I will see you back on the next video. Have a great month. Peace out.